Hello, my name is Randy Dobson, and I'm an instructor here in the Houston area. And this video will be covering just kind of some uses or usage of drafting equipment. I know in my 1305 course, some of the drawings my students have to do, they have to use protractors, triangles, and compasses. So I kind of wanted to go over some little tips and tricks that may help them out. If you're versed in this, then the video probably will be very basic for you. But a couple things whenever you're doing drafting that you really need to remember. One is, like my piece of paper here, I don't recommend using Scotch tape, but if that's all you've got, the first thing you want to do is make sure that your paper is secure. And I'm going to put a little piece up here on this corner, just a little, and then put one down here in the bottom right, and you probably see the tape on that bottom right, and it's up there in that upper left. So now my paper won't move anywhere, because the worst thing that can happen while you're trying to draw is to have your paper move on you. Now, one thing when it comes to the triangles, and actually, I was hoping that I would have a 3060. Let me just look in my bag here real quick. Looks like I've misplaced my 3060, but I think that y'all will get the gist of what I'm trying to show you. I'm actually going to be using 245s that I've got here, but one could be a 3060. It's not going to make that much of a difference in what I'm explaining. But the first thing for just drawing a straight line, okay, let's say that you're drawing a line. Let's just say like this. I've drawn this line, nice straight line. Okay, now say I want to put a point, a 90-degree point, 90-degree line at 4 inches. So as you can see, I'm measuring 4 inches. Then I come over here, and there's my 4-inch mark. Now, how do I get that 90 degree? There's a couple ways that you can kind of, I don't want to say cheat on it, but I'm going to kind of turn my camera a little bit so you can see how my angle that I'm doing. I'm going to put the triangle right on that line, get it lined up. Okay, once I've done that, some people might say, well, just put a 90 degree on there, and that's fine. But if you really want to give yourself some room, if you can see over here, let me see if I can turn my camera up a little bit. As you can see, I'm putting this triangle up against it. So now, holding this firmly, I can slide this up and down, and see it will stay parallel to that line. Okay, so now if I want to, I can bring it down to here, firmly hold this triangle, take this one, then come and line that up with that little notch there, and draw my perpendicular line. Understanding that once I drew that line like that, if I wanted to draw more perpendicular lines, holding this firmly, I've got that straight edge, that straight line. And it can work anyway. I mean, if I've got it like this, I can come down here. I put my triangle up against it. I'm going to kind of move this around again so you can see. You can see I've got my triangle up against and it doesn't really matter what edge it is. And now I can move this back and forth, and any line I draw will be parallel. Except for that scribbly one I did bad there. Now I can just hold this one firmly, flip this around. Now I can draw perpendicular lines like that. Okay, but remember, you have to hold these a little firmly. If you get there and you get all not paying attention and they shift off, well, then they're not going to be lined up. As you can see, this line is not parallel anymore, and then this one's going off at a skew. So just understanding on how you can take these and move them around. Okay, I mean, if I needed a line like this, okay, Now, as long as I'm holding this one firmly, I can just slide this. And then if I want to go off on a 90, I could go off on a 90 from there. Let's say I want to go off on a 45. I can slide this around, just 45-degree angle, and I could draw that like that. Okay. There you got all these different angles that I'm doing. Hopefully you're not getting dizzy from me moving this. But understanding that how you can manipulate these just like this, you can draw a straight line and you can parallel it, or you can have something perpendicular to it because you got that 90-degree angle. Now, when it comes to the protractor, and I know a lot of y'all did pretty darn well on the protractor part of the test. Really, the big thing in looking at a protractor is understanding what angle you're going to take. I'm going to flip this paper. I'm just going to tear this because I want to move it along a little quicker for y'all. Let me tape this down again. And so if I've got a line here that I draw, and let's just say I want to draw a line out this way at 30 degrees. Okay, well, you're always going to line up with your zeros, as you can see here. And depending on what side you're going to start on, see, you're over here in the 180s and 170s. Well, you don't want that side. So you come over here and you line this up on this circle. And I'm going to have to move this camera again. I apologize. This way I can get them more straight down. So with this center of this on there, and then making sure that my zero is on that line, I can come over here. We'll just say 32 degrees. There's 30, 31, 32. And of course, there's my line. Then I just connect the two dots like this. And that's 32 degrees. Okay, if I was to draw a line perpendicular, I'm just going to kind of do this real quick. If you remember your math, if this is 32, what would that be? Okay, that should be 58 degrees. So if I line this up with the center part here and zero here, well, as you can see, 50, 55, 56, 57, 58. Okay, so these are just some basic uses of these, you know, how to use a protractor, how to use a triangle. Again, the big thing is the triangles. Another one I wanted to talk about was the compass, which y'all all got different types, I believe. And let's just say I wanted to do a circle that was 1 inch in diameter. So I'm going to measure this to be 1 inch. Okay, so if I want to put that on, I'm going to move this back a little bit. I'm going to use this little center part here. Okay, a lot of people want to have this straight up. It needs to be leaning down. So when you go around, and don't worry if you put a hole in the paper, press down because you don't want the compass to move. If you notice, I'm leaning it. Okay, if you can see that, hopefully, and I'm leaning it back this way. That's how you want to do it. You don't want to try to keep it straight up because it's very hard to keep it straight. But you want to lean it, and that just kind of drags it around that circle. Okay, just like that, as you can see. A lot of this equipment, you know, when this course is over, you may get rid of it. I hope that you don't, because as you progress, you will come back to these at some point in time, and it's always nice to use equipment that you're familiar with. I can tell you that this compass is part of a set that I actually bought at Sears back in the 70s. So I would say that this is probably, maybe 48 years old. Okay, this is a compass set. This is still my first one that I used in the 7th grade, and still it's missing a couple pieces. But there are my triangles, and I'm familiar with them. I'm comfortable with them, and I'm going to keep them or keep it if I can get it to slide in there. There we go. And some of these are older pins where you actually had a well that you had to dip it in. So it's just your equipment is part of what you're going to create if you need to do any drawings by hand. I know everybody is thinking, oh, AutoCAD, MicroStation, Inventor, SolidWorks, I don't ever have to do any hand drawings. Yes, you do. They will pop up from time to time. And again, just like your scales, whichever, you're going to keep these for probably your entire working in a field in the industry, your career. That's the word I was trying to think of. You'll keep these in your possession for all that time. So I just wanted to go over a little bit on this just to maybe help a couple of y'all out because I have had some questions on it. And if y'all need some more information on this, you know how to get a hold of me. Thanks a lot. Bye.